Zongzi. On the eve of the Dragon Boat Festival, the town was always lively. Drumbeats from dragon boat races echoed along the riverbank, and the scent of Zongzi filled the old street. But I never liked this holiday, not since I was a child. It wasn't because of the heat, or the noisy racing. It was because of my grandmother. She always said, never eat Zongzi made by strangers during the Dragon Boat Festival. Not every one of them is filled with just glutinous rice and meat. I used to dismiss it as old folks' superstition, until this year. I returned to the town because Grandma had passed away. The old house had been sealed for years, yet the smell of boiled mugwort still lingered in the corners. On the desk was a yellowed envelope, my name written on it. Don't forget, Chu Yuan didn't jump into the river by choice. That opening line made me freeze. The letter claimed Chu Yuan's body had long been retrieved. He didn't sink into the river, nor did he vanish without a trace. He was pulled from the water and secretly buried in an ancient well here in our town. Back then, the villagers tossed Zongzi into the river to calm his spirit, to keep him from seeking revenge. But later, he stopped accepting rice. He wanted meat. Of course I didn't believe it. I crumpled the letter and threw it in the trash. But that night, I dreamed of Grandma. She stood with her back to me, cooking Zongzi in the kitchen. In the steam, she turned to me, her smile tearing all the way to her ears. He chose you this year. I woke up to find a dark red handprint on my arm, as if something had gripped me tight. On the day of the festival, I bought a string of Zongzi as tradition dictated, but couldn't bring myself to open one. Suddenly I wondered, who wrapped these? And what did they wrap inside? Outside, I heard children singing. Poor Chu Yuan sank in grief, villagers offered rice in sweet relief. But not to save him, only to seal him, for now he feasts on human blood. The melody was sugary sweet, but the lyrics were so strange it made my skin crawl. I ran out, but the children had vanished. Only a half-eaten Zongzi remained on the ground. I knelt to see what was inside. But it wasn't meat. It was a knuckle. A human knuckle. I went mad, threw away the whole string, the steamer, the bamboo leaves, everything. But the scent of meat still clung to the house. That night, I heard someone in the kitchen wrapping Zongzi. Thump, 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 the sound of chopping meat. I grabbed my phone and crept downstairs. The lights were off, but the stove was glowing. A figure stood at the counter, bent over, working quickly, shoulders trembling. Was it Grandma? No, impossible. I gathered my courage and called out, "Who's there?" The figure slowly turned around. There were no features on the face, only rough stitches, skin sewn together with thick black thread. It held a hunk of steaming, bloody flesh. It spoke. The voice wasn't human. It rasped, like torn vocal cords. "You must repay." I bolted and fled the house. The streets were empty, every storefront sealed with mugwort and red charms, every lamp snuffed out. Except one old Zongzi shop. Its lights were on. An elderly woman sat inside, wrapping dumplings. "Have you decided?" she asked me. "Will it be you, or someone else?" I didn't understand. She slid a basket of Zongzi in front of me. "One person per year. The meat must be fresh, or he'll devour the whole street. You're not the first. And you won't be the last." I trembled. "What if I don't choose?" She looked up, her eyes clouded gray with a tinge of red. "Then tonight, you'll be the filling." In the end, I made a choice. I still don't know if it was the right one. I left the Zongzi at the riverbank, just as she instructed. The water rippled though there was no wind. A dark shape surfaced, slowly. I knelt by the shore, closed my eyes, and didn't dare look. The water went still. I knew, it had accepted. The town's Dragon Boat Festival turned lively again. Children sang old songs. The Zongzi shop reopened as usual. Only I knew what was inside those dumplings. Only I knew, it wasn't tradition. It was ritual. This year, I chose someone else. Next year, will someone choose me? The end. The Dragon Boat Skin Drum. The Dragon Boat Festival was approaching, and Xiaoxi village became lively. This small village nestled between the mountains held a grand dragon boat race every year. Not just for tradition, but because the government awarded a generous subsidy to the winning village. That sum was enough to rebuild bridges, pave roads, construct schools, and run electricity. Unfortunately, Xiaoxi village had lost for 10 years straight. Over those 10 years, they changed rowers, boats, even hired professional trainers from other towns. But no matter what they tried, they always lost. They were always overtaken in the last 300 meters, left in regret. Villagers began to whisper, it was karma. They said it was because they once won too cruelly and too wickedly. They were talking about the former village head, Luo Yicheng. Under his tenure, Xiaoxi village won the championship 6 years in a row. In those 6 years, the village transformed from broken huts to sturdy brick houses and paved streets. People praised Luo Yicheng as a capable and determined man. But he died young, in his early 50s, from sudden cardiac death. When they found his body, blood was oozing from all 7 orifices, face twisted in horror. From that year onward, Xiaoxi village never won again. It was as if glory had cost a life, and once that life ended, so did the glory. The current village head was Zhou Jinghe, a middle-aged man, honest and cautious. He knew the villagers' frustration, and how one win could change the village's fate. 3 days before the festival that year, a stranger came to the village. Wearing a straw hat and ragged linen clothes, the man entered the village office silently and handed Zhou a yellowed piece of paper. On it was written, "The drum remains in old Luo's cellar. If you wish to revive Xiaoxi, take it." Zhou Jinghe turned pale after reading. He had heard the rumor. It said that the old head made a drum from his own son's skin to ensure victory. That year, Xiaoxi's dragon boat flew like lightning, and the drum's beat shook the heavens. Then came 6 years of victory, a river of subsidies, and villagers kneeling in gratitude. But no one dared beat the drum after Luo Yicheng died. "This can't be true," Zhou murmured. But he still went to the abandoned old house. The house had half collapsed, overrun by vines and weeds. Inside, a stone stair led to the basement, sealed behind a wooden door with cracks. He pried it open with a shovel. A wave of rot and blood rushed out. At the deepest end of the cellar, he found the drum. Blackened, greasy, its surface small and taut, clearly specially treated. It had a texture no human drum should possess, fine pores, faint skin lines. He reached out and touched it, cold, like a corpse's hand. Still, he brought it out. "This year, we must win," he told himself. On race day, Zhou Jinghe personally boarded the boat as the drummer. The team was shocked but didn't question him. When he unveiled the drum, they fell silent. Only old rower Lin Xuanfa whispered, "Is that the drum?" Zhou Jinghe nodded. "Just one beat. If it brings victory, it's worth it." The race began. Several dragon boats surged forward, slicing the water as cheers erupted from the shore. Xiaoxi village didn't lead at first, even fell to 5th midway. With 500 meters left, Zhou Jinghe raised the drumstick and struck the first beat. Boom! It sounded like thunder. Water exploded near the shore, strange ripples spread across the river. Their boat shot forward like pushed by invisible hands. He struck again. Boom! From the center of the boat, a face emerged. It was a child's. Pale, bloodless, eyes drooping, mouth torn wide. But only Zhou could see it. He said nothing and beat the drum again. On the third beat, the top 4 boats swerved, some crashed into buoys. The crowd panicked. Judges gasped. Xiaoxi's boat sped straight for the finish like a mad beast. When they crossed the line, the drum stopped. The boat skidded ashore violently. People fell, bruised and bleeding. But they had won. Back in the village, Zhou Jinghe was hailed as a hero. How did you do it? Was the drum really magical? He said nothing, only locked the drum back in old Luo's cellar. That night, he dreamed of the child's face. It stood by his bed, pointing at him. Next time, it's your turn. Zhou awoke drenched in sweat. He thought it was just a dream. But the next day, pain bloomed in his left leg. On day 3, his gums ulcerated, teeth loosened. By day 5, strange blotches formed on his face, like rot. Doctors found nothing wrong. But he knew, it was the drum. At the village office, he left a resignation letter and one line. Never beat that drum again. But it was too late. The villagers had gone mad. They had tasted the sweetness of victory. They tore open the old house, enshrined the drum in glass. The next year, they lost. Because no one dared beat the drum. But the third year, a new head was appointed. He had no children. But he had a nephew, 6 years old. He walked into the cellar, stared at the cracked drumhead, and whispered. If it's just a layer of skin, that's not so hard. The end.
Alright, today's story ends here. Wishing all our dear listeners and viewers a peaceful and restful night. If you could leave a like, a positive review, and subscribe, your wishes will surely come true, and fortune will follow. Good night.